Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Welcome back. This is AXUMUS with DVNB. I'm DVNB, and this is episode 109. So let's do a recap from episode 108. What we talked about was I just kept adding on to the story the first time I went to India in the summer of '87, and I talked about some of the different experiences I ran across in India, like the infrastructure of India, as in there was open sewer troughs running through the streets. It was very different. And then also I talked about how the hardships of a third world are nothing compared to the so-called hardships in America. And I'm sure I struck a nerve with any American that feels like they're born and bred here. But no apologies. That's true. Everything I said is exactly how I feel. There's not really any big hardships in America. We have nothing but opportunity to make something of ourselves in this country. And everything that people feel like, oh, I'm being kept down, I'm not part of the society, they don't treat me right, is all manufactured and created to keep us divided, and that's why we can't progress together as a country. And then also I talked about the some of the different ways we have to travel in India. Like I talked about the motorcycle and how it's really made for two people, but you could have like around 5 people on it, as in the whole family's on there balancing each other out on the motorcycle. But then, I came back from India at the end of the summer of '87 with my mom, and then I started kindergarten in the fall of '87, and that's when I really started being exposed to American culture, and not even just American culture, but down south American culture. I started kindergarten. I remember my not first grade, but kindergarten teacher was named Mrs. Davis. And I still remember sitting in the circle with all the kids. And I remember I was wearing this yellow, like, button-up shirt that my mama and my uncle gave me from India. And I remember sitting down next to this kid named Toby Wages. And he was like, "Hey, I like your shirt." And that person that said that, he made me comfortable in the circle. So that person, Toby Wages, that's been a very good friend of mine since kindergarten. Don't really stay in touch with him anymore, but if I ever see him, we still connect like we just saw each other the day before we saw each other. And then we did regular old thing in kindergarten, learned the alphabet, recess, and then that's where I learned about sports. American sports like football, kickball, jump rope, all types of things, man. Like, we was born in a household of immigrants, so a lot of these things we weren't exposed to. Like, I didn't know what football was until I got to recess at kindergarten. I didn't know what kickball was. I didn't know how to kick the ball. No, I've never seen anything like that. But so all that was a new experience for me. And then I'd say the biggest milestone of the kindergarten year was me and my family. We met a very important family in our life called the Seal family. They're a big farming family in Childress. So let me get into that, because it's a very important part of our history as a family in Childress. And even just my upbringing and the opportunity that we've had because of the Seal family. So one day in kindergarten, this teacher let us go to the restroom as a group. So we're all in the restroom, taking a piss or whatever, and this 5th grader walks in there, and he pretty much tries to play a joke on us, and he asks us, "Hey, you kids want to see a trick?" And I remember I was like the first one, like, "Yeah, look, I want to see a trick." So they had these old school soap dispensers where you like turn this dial and it crushes up the bar soap inside, and at the bottom you get this powdered soap in your hand. So so he got this powdered soap in his hand, and he like blew it like straight at me, and it just like went all in my hair and stuff. And I was still laughing when it happened, but all the other kids was laughing at me. And then that was the end of that joke or whatever. We went back to class, and but that kid, that the 5th grader that blew the soap in my face and hair, his name was David Seal. He was one of the sons of the Seal family. He was a year younger than my older brother. But let's get into the Seal family and the importance of the Seal family. Pretty much technically, my mom and dad entered into America illegally from Canada. So, we don't have any American citizenship or green card or anything. My mom and dad were Canadian citizens after they got from India to Canada. And, this is like the 80s, so it was kind of lax. And so, we didn't really worry about getting deported or anything like that back then. But, let me get into this. My dad came to America for the first time in '81. And back then they had this amnesty law to where, if you set foot in America before '81 or during '81, you have the right to apply for immigration or citizenship. So, the first time my dad came to visit his friend in down South Texas was in '81. So he got some written paperwork from his friend stating that he was here in '81. So, he had the right to apply for citizenship or immigration. And but my mom showed up after '82, so she was still considered illegal. But there was a new amnesty program, and it was something, I think it was called SAW, S-A-W, Small Agricultural Worker Amnesty Program, something like that. So, my dad did some research in Childress to find a farmer to see if, they would hire my mom as an agricultural worker, or at least hire her on paper so they can go apply for immigration or citizenship. And this was like in '87. So the first person my dad ran into was Edna Mae, and that was an older family member of the Seal family. And Edna Mae suggested she my dad talked to Daryl Seal, which is the father of David Seal. And Daryl Seal, he had farmland. He did a lot of farming, so he was the perfect person to talk to. So my dad met Daryl Seal, and he invited Daryl to our property, our motel, our / house. And my dad explained the situation. And Daryl was he's a very cultured person. To our surprise, he was a very cultured person. He knew a lot about different cultures. He researched a lot about different cultures. So he was very interested and intrigued by us, as we're not from Childress or even from America. So he is very interested in helping us. So we fed him dinner, fed him Indian food, fed him some rotis, some rice, some vegetables, all that stuff. And I remember I think he came with David and his daughter Molly, if I remember correctly, but I know David was there for sure. But I just remember how much they loved the rotis. And me, my mom and dad, brother, we were all just surprised, like, why do you guys love the rotis so much? It's just like bread. There's no flavor in it. But since it was homemade, freshly made by my mom, they just really, really loved it. And I guess they like tortillas and stuff too, like Mexican food, because their mom was Mexican, Olga was Mexican. And I guess they were just comparing the rotis to the tortillas, and they're like, man, these are so much different and better. And so, after that, we were able to, my mom was able to apply for immigration as a agricultural worker for Daryl. So, the Seal family is a very, very important part of our history as immigrants in Childress. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have any way to stay in Childress or even America for that long. And on top of that, Daryl had a big family. He had a lot of children. The ones my age were Danny, Delbert, and Grace. Then they had another daughter named Starla. We called her Bonnie. And the two older siblings was David and Molly. And those are more of my brother's friends. And, we all grew up together. They used to come to our house all the time. Me and Delbert are still best friends to this day. We all lived together, ate together, played together. We grew up together. So that's where we're going to end it today. Like I said, I'm not going to give you too much, just a little bit here and there. So for the ones that are watching, appreciate you watching. This was AXUMUS with DVNB. I'm DVNB. And until next time, thanks for watching. This was episode 109. And we'll see you next time. Peace.